Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and today we're going to talk about SmackDown Live for January 24th, 2017, the go-home show for the 2017 Royal Rumble, and today's special treat, Matt Morgan, here joining us live on a Wednesday. Of course, we also got Raj Giri from Wrestling Inc., and today we're going to talk about SmackDown Live from last night, our predictions from the Royal Rumble, and we're going to talk to Matt Morgan, a man who has been in a Royal Rumble himself, find out more about what goes on behind the scenes, talk about our predictions, ideal cards for WrestleMania, because we're on the road to it. Matt, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to, a little change of pace here, got a chance to, commentate a little bit about SmackDown. And from my perspective, it's going to be very different because I never get a chance to watch it. So I'm excited for the Rumble. The Rumbles this year is going to be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, stacked card this year. Raj, you feeling hype still after SmackDown last night?
I am. I thought it was still a good show. A little down from previous weeks, but I still thought it was a great show. I think it's going to be a change of pace today because I think after Raw we're usually a lot more negative, whereas SmackDown, I think it'll be a little different.
Yeah, although Matt, we were joking, you missed it, man. I mean, it felt like we had 3/4 of a great Raw this week,
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So let's talk about SmackDown. First question to you, Raj, because you might know behind the scenes on this. Is Daniel Bryan on the road, or are they pre-taping these segments like these opens from last night?
No, I think he's there. I think he just leaves early. But yeah, Shane McMahon mentioned it on Talking Smack that, with the baby coming, he's doing less of this, but less of the Talking Smack. But yeah, I think he is there.
So that being said, we set up the lumberjack match for later in the show in that opening segment between Dean Ambrose and The Miz. But let's talk about Harper versus Orton. So have you been up to speed on this, Matt? Everything that's going on with the Wyatt family?
Yeah, definitely. I liked it. I liked the way it finished, the ending of it. I noticed Randy was the one that was looking back more as he was exiting, the arena, so to speak, or walking back up the ramp, rather.
Yeah.
I thought it was, a great, very interesting, something that makes you think type of angle. And anytime you have that, I'm into it, Great match. Luke Harper is so goddamn talented.
Yeah, he could definitely perform in the ring. Raj, what did you think of the match?
I thought the match was great. I thought it was really good. I do think they need to repackage Luke Harper because, they've broken him from the Wyatts before. And the problem is he's so ingrained with that look as a mid-card guy that I think he needs to change it up and whether it's, dress more like Brody or, do something different. But he's got to get out of that old Wyatt gear.
Here's a little backstage gossip for you guys that I had heard. I had heard from some of the guys that the problem is they did that with what's the biggest big guy on Raw? Thank you, Braun Strowman, and he still kind of has the same look. He just shaved the sides of his head a little bit, but he still has that Wyatt-esque look. But because he's on a completely different brand by himself, it took a few weeks before we finally, got him completely out of the Wyatt family and that attachment thing with him here as well on SmackDown. But the problem is you can either do one there's only two shows. If there was a third brand, it'd be perfect for Luke to go to that third brand and start over again. Problem is the guy's hair, the way it is, he can't do too much unless he shaves his head completely. But as far as having the Wyatt look, they could have put him on Raw, but it's between him and Strowman, and obviously they went with Strowman, rightfully so. The rumor was that he was going to go to Raw, and they decided against it, and they decided to bring Strowman over instead.
And it's been working, for Strowman. I mean, I think everyone sees him way differently than they did, when the draft happened. So, but even with Luke Harper, I mean, I feel like he can keep his hair and stuff, but get rid of the janitor outfit, just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's practically wearing a potato sack out to the ring most weeks.
But he is really talented. He's a very underrated big guy, for nearly 300 pounds and the way he can move and everything. I just don't want to see him, kind of wade away like he did last time when they broke him off.
Yeah, he's so good, so good. You see his sell on the RKO, but did you see the sell on the Sister Abigail? For a big guy to pop up off the boom and pop up. That's hard to do. I couldn't do that. Like, he's talented.
Yeah.
So we went from that last night into in-ring segment, confrontation between Mickie James. Now there, she was La Luchadora on the SmackDown roster. Her and Becky Lynch setting that up, really kind of moving, it seems, Becky away from Alexa Bliss. So Matt, what do you think about the return of Mickie?
She's a friend, so I'm always gonna be I'll admit it, I'll be for her, but it's hard to be objective. I was excited to see her, post having a child in the great shape that she's in. I think it's great for everybody involved. Okay, she's going to help Alexa Bliss immensely. She's actually going to help Becky Lynch improve as well. Becky Lynch is now going to have an opponent to sink her teeth into as far as work rate goes in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey's one of those that takes chances and wants to steal the show every match. She's got the best working punch in the business. Guys, watch her punches. She throws better punches than any guy does. But I don't, if I'm being honest, and she's not my buddy here, I don't know about her as a heel. She's not comfortable. She did very good last night in her promo for Mickie, but Mickie is a classic babyface. But I think she did good for what they gave her. And she started to get a little bit more comfortable as she got going. But I know her, and she's not a comfortable heel.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like she is a great baby face with, her comebacks and just how spunky she is, like going to the ring and everything.
Yep.
But, I thought Mickie did very well for her first promo on WWE TV in a while, but the crowd was starting to turn on her by the end. I mean, I think it went a little too long. They were doing the what chants. Mickie looked like,
Oh my God, Raj, I would have jumped up their asses with that. I would have been like, really? I've been going for 7 years and you're doing the same shit? Really?
Yeah. That's one thing that it's ingrained in wrestling fans now. I don't know if that's ever going to go away, unfortunately. But
don't come to the shows if you're going to chant what, people. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, she adds a lot to that women's division. Now you have, you look at that 6-man tag they added for the Rumble, and it's all like top women. You forget that the SmackDown women's roster is that deep, and you got 6 top women. So she adds a lot, and it gives a big spark to that division.
I really like.
We say, guys. Sorry, all three of us say how how Raw is so much more dominant with the women's division. This gives SmackDown a huge shot in the arm as far as an honest to goodness star for the female division. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it evens it up a little bit more. It gets it a little bit closer. It's still a ways away, but it gets it a little bit closer. It's not just Becky now,
Yeah, and I think, Alexa Bliss is a heel. If Mickie James turns face and you got Nikki Bella on the face side, you got some people that could help get Alexa to the next level, as far as the top, heel woman on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Well, I really liked on Talking Smack with Mickie last night. I thought that they fleshed out her motivation better. I mean, she made a really good point. I thought, in that shoot interview she did, talking about with this whole women's evolution thing, they completely skipped over her era. I mean, she was really holding it down, for that mid-period kind of post-Lita, Paige, and even pre the Bellas.
Her and Victoria.
Yeah.
Her and Victoria, for sure.
And Melina, too. Melina was pretty, was good in the ring. And there were others. So, it's Beth Phoenix. So there were some valid points.
Beth Phoenix, big time Beth Phoenix, Raj.
Yeah.
Big time. Yes.
Yeah, and I was seeing it online. Wasn't Mickie versus Trish the last time there was a one-on-one match at WrestleMania between the women?
Jeez, is that?
I think so. Someone online on Reddit was pointing it out, that it's all been tags. And the idea creative-wise, and Matt, you could speak to this, at WrestleMania, they don't want anyone to miss out on the payday. So the idea is if we can take care of, multiple female wrestlers in one fell swoop, that's why they put them on the card in those matches.
Yeah.
And they do that with the lower card talents as well, with these little battle royals they'll do pre-show and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. But I think with Mickie, I think great things are in store for her. And they did add that 6 women's tag match. Interesting, the SmackDown women 6 women tag match looks like it's going to be on the main card, right, Raj? Whereas Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax on the pre-show.
That's the way I would have done it. I think otherwise you have 2 Raw women's matches on the main card and the SmackDown women's, on the pre-show. So I definitely agree with that.
So someone who's not going to be in the 6-woman tag is Carmella. We saw that vignette last night. I mean, what was this? The transformation of James Ellsworth into Jim Alina. What's going on there? Are they seriously rebooting or trying to give him a new gimmick?
They need to get him off my TV. I can't say that enough. But last night I was angry. I actually was angry. I had to watch that crap.
Yeah.
He's horrible. He's annoying with his nonverbals. Like, he keeps doing these stupid nonverbals, overdoing it.
Yeah.
It's corny as hell. It's got to get off my TV. It's hurting her in the process.
Yeah, I my thoughts watching this were like, if it were a high school play and someone was delivering their lines like Ellsworth was, they'd be laughed off the stage. The director would be like, sorry, you can't make it. But this is WWE, so that, that's allowed to get on television to millions of people. But I thought Ellsworth, he just can't deliver those lines right. And this was just cringeworthy. At this point, I was like, this segment alone might drag SmackDown to where I actually prefer Raw to SmackDown this week.
Wow.
I was angry. It takes a lot for me to get angry at something. Okay. I was angry. I had to watch that. I was angry that they thought that was okay to put out on TV. Like, this is a $1 billion company, and they thought that this is good for our viewers to watch.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, I can't think of anything less than that, but if I could, I would say it. That's how
Junior high.
This guy, yeah, really. I don't get it. He's not a lovable loser. He's just annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone pointing out Randy Savage and Elizabeth. This is not George the Animal Steel and Elizabeth, But I think, I think they got to give him something. I think the Ellsworth
they don't. They need to get rid of him. They don't have to give him anything.
Yeah, I mean, so Matt, you could speak to this from a production point of view. I mean, I get when you're doing something live for a promo, but this was taped. So when you're recording something in advance, you can do multiple takes. Is the attitude typically when you were there that it's just run and gun, like, yeah, we got it, one take, it's fine? Or do they sit there and have you do it multiple times?
I think he's so bad that they didn't care and they just did a couple of takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got it in the can. That's fine. It's not going to get better than that, which is a horrible attitude.
Yeah.
That's what I think. If that was, I remember Brock when he would do his pre-tapes, they would do it a bunch of takes. They do a bunch of different takes with him because he's important, right? So I think the more important you are, the more important the promo is and the pre-tape is, and they'll put more time into it. But for that dude, I wouldn't even use my camera phone to have shot that.
I think like he is a sympathetic character in a way, and what they've done with him, they've kind of messed that angle a bit. But if you just put him in the cruiserweight division, have him be like the guy that gets beat all the time and once in a while will pull out a victory, that's probably a better place for him then. Because we talked about like our friends watching wrestling if they were over, and SmackDown usually, if I could watch it with my friends, but this segment would be that one that would be like, man, this is what you watch.
Raj, why does he have to have anything? Why does he have to be on the roster?
I just think they put enough, time into him that there should be something, that you do with them before if you write them off, before you write them off. Yes. But I agree with your point too. I think if he was gone, their business is not going to hurt.
Yeah. They stumbled into something with him and then they gave him a character, right? I think before they gave him an actual character and had him start speaking, I think that the fans were, he was over with the fans. And then when they tried to, have him interfere with matches, they completely they've turned him into an annoying character as opposed to a sympathetic one. But enough said about James Ellsworth. Let's talk about the Battle Royal last night. I thought that was pretty interesting. Had Heath Slater, Rhino, Simon Gotch, Aiden English, Kurt Hawkins, Connor, Victor, Mojo Rawley, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango to get someone a Royal Rumble spot. Now, Mojo Rawley won this, but, I wasn't as surprised about that. But what I was surprised about, and Raj, maybe you could speak to this, man, the Vaudevillains. What's going on there? They practically eliminated themselves in the first 10 seconds of that match.
No, nothing's going going on there.
Yeah,
You see where they're at on the card.
But this is like Titus O'Neil level humiliation that they're giving the Vaudevillains.
Yeah.
Like, is this just about the backstage fight?
Do you think they deserve more? It's not like they've been over and they're bringing them down the card.
They debuted. They were, number one contenders for the Raw Tag Belt when.
Because they put them there, but the crowd didn't react to them at all.
But this is just crazy, though. I mean, this isn't like even a showing. I mean, this is just kind of like the creative's just messing with them at this point, right?
Yeah, that's their spot. I wouldn't. I mean, that's how. I mean, I wouldn't have them last till the end. So
not the end, but like at least let them keep 30 seconds, maybe a minute in the ring.
You got to go through the. You don't want that match to go too long because people will turn away. So especially with the guys you got in there. I mean, there was only like two realistic winners, I thought.
Yeah.
So Mojo, he got like most of the eliminations in that match too. So they were giving him a little push. I like, he's changed his look, his attitude a little. He still acted like a goof once he won, but maybe be a little more, badass in your victory celebration. But he looks the part. I'd like to see. I like this change in character. So for the most part.
So Matt, what do you think of Mojo Rawley?
I think he stays hype. I think he's I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about him because he works hard, but he does come off like a goof. And that could be marketable if you do it correctly. And I think he's still finding himself, obviously.
Yeah, like Rob Gronkowski, his buddy, he comes across as a goof, but when he scores a big hit, he doesn't act like a goof for a minute and a half. He acts like a goof where it's appropriate, and he has that same personality. So just calm it down, do it at the right points, and I think
here's what you need. Here's what Vince used to tell me this all the time when I first started, and he's like, "Don't play wrestler. You big guys, you come in and you first don't know any better, and you play wrestler. You're not being who you are." And I never understood that. I'm like, well, of course I'm playing and acting as a wrestler. We all are, but. No, I understand what he's saying, like later on down my career. And what it is, this is a good example. You say like how Gronkowski acts normal when he scores a touchdown and doesn't act all weird, right? This guy, he's still figuring out who he is, Mojo. And I think he's overthinking, and I think he's saying, okay, maybe I need to do this now, and now I need to act like this now. Now I got to do this here. And that's what I think we're seeing. And he just comes across as a goof in the process.
Yeah. But again, he can tweak it. So
watching him on Talking Smack last night and seeing him in recent weeks on there, even with this win, I don't know. I mean, it seems like they're going to give him a bit of a push. I mean, granted, it's a SmackDown level push. I don't think he's going to win the Rumble by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I feel like they need to figure out who his character is now that he's detached from Zack Ryder.
We'll just have to see. They gave bits of pushes to Bo Dallas and guys like that in the past. It's whether he can impress quickly, because if he doesn't, he's gonna just end up where he's been.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we got after that the Cena Styles segment. So how are you feeling about John Cena, Matt? Going into this and this little resurgence they've done here, setting this up for him.
Came across like a prick. I thought I was really frustrated with AJ just sitting there and taking it.
Yeah.
Honestly, but John, he uses the same promo on everybody. He's like, "You're the same guy saying the same thing to me. I can't wrestle, and I didn't come up this way." John, that's you saying the same damn thing again as well yourself, dude. It is a valid argument that these guys bring up that you didn't pay your dues. If I was AJ, I would have ripped into him a little bit more about that. And things like that. But maybe, AJ's there and I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm sure there's a reason for it, politically speaking. But it was hard to watch that for me because, in my opinion, John came across as the heel, no question, and AJ was a sympathetic babyface.
I think Cena, he did sound heelish. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, really support the indie.
That interview, did you see the interview, Ron?
Yeah, no, I thought Cena delivered that like a superstar. Like he came across like above and beyond everyone on promos in that interview, and at the end, I mean, it felt like the jock in high school pulling down, depantsing the nerdy guy, because Styles looked like he was just overwhelmed and like had been depantsed. Again, I'm not sure if Cena just destroying him means that Styles is winning at the Rumble or walking away with the title. I almost, when we talk about our WrestleMania ideas, I feel like it should be. But Cena just owned that. I thought he just delivered that great. And, you know, Styles, he was saying the same thing. I don't think if Styles got the last word, it still would have been anywhere near the impact of what Cena did. And Cena's the babyface. He probably should be getting the last word on Styles, especially if he's losing at the Rumble.
Oh my God, I would have immediately went into, listen to your arrogance, John. Listen to your freaking arrogance right now. You're too good to work the indies. You, the guy who can't tie his wrestling boots together. Oh, wait a minute. You don't even wear wrestling boots because you don't respect the damn business, because no one taught you that on the indies on your way up, John, because you were born in the wrestling business with a silver spoon in your mouth. You did just come right up through developmental and boom, ta-da, here I am on TV. You didn't pay your dues, John. It bothers you. I know it bothers you. These fans know it bothers you, just like they know it bothers you when they chant, you suck. You can't stand it, John. You could put your bullshit smile on all you want, but at the end of the day, it irks you. It irks you. I paid my dues, and I could work circles around you.
All right, I'm gonna have to take video of that and put that on the YouTube, man. The promo that AJ Styles should have given. Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome, but you know, at the same time, they've been litigating this whole thing for so long. You know, Cena did work the indies. He came up in UPW. You know, he was sleeping in his car, working at a gym. You know, it wasn't like he, you know.
I'm sorry. It was that interview, Raj, that really irked me. Yeah. He kept referring to AJ as the guy from Atlanta.
Which is crazy, right? Like the world champion of the WWE, like the people on the Today Show don't even know his name.
Yeah, that's one thing. You know, back in the day, remember in the '80s when they'd have Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, you know, meeting the stars, and the stars would never know who, you know, like meet celebrities, and the celebrities would not know who Heenan was, but they knew Gorilla, and that always bugged me because it just shows that you know, what it's telling your audience is they don't watch WWF because otherwise they'd know who he was. And on your television, when you're talking about the Today Show hosts not knowing who AJ Styles is, that's just telling the audience that these guys don't watch WWE. And you know, they're not real stars anymore.
And that John, more importantly though, if I'm a wrestler in the ring with him, I would have been so heated at him for not having enough respect for me to at least cut them off with that bull crap immediately in that interview and say his name is AJ Styles. I don't like the guy. I'm going to beat him this Wednesday, but his name is AJ Styles and he is phenomenal at what he does. Something like that. I don't know. He was so disrespectful and just laughing along and being robotic as usual.
And I think as a brand ambassador, he kind of has that responsibility, right? Especially, I mean, being the face of the company. Being yes. I mean, he should be looking to elevate his opponent, not bury him in the mainstream like this.
Right, but if the storyline is you know, this is the storyline that WWE wants. And again, I think and we'll get to it later, and I guess we should move on so we could get to the Rumble and Mania. I think Cena's losing, so he had to get the better of him. But I get both your points. Like, I think he shouldn't dismiss Styles as not being a star because it makes the company look bad. But I'm sure that's what the company told him to do. I mean, they had the clips ready of the Today Show, so that was where they wanted to go. Yeah.
So from that, we went to short match: Dolph Ziggler versus Kalisto. Yeah, is there anything to be said about this? Is anything happening with this?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Ziggler versus Kalisto last night. That short match that if you went up and got a snack, you missed it.
No, I was happy it was short.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. JBL go. I didn't understand the end with JBL. I was hoping that something would happen with JBL and him, and then it got cut off. You know, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with as far as Ziggler turning heel and whatnot. But you know.
Yeah, and Apollo coming out. I mean, Ziggler's just now. Ziggler had a pretty good year last year, but this is just now putting him to the lower mid card. You know.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this heel turn isn't doing anything for me so far. You know, I think if you're turning Ziggler heel, you have him go up the card. He's exactly where he's at. It's just he's the same guy where it doesn't matter if he wins or loses on a given week. This really should have been his first week as a heel. He should have just destroyed Kalisto real quick. We'll see. I don't know. Ziggler, I was, you know, you hear CM Punk and all these guys in the past when they talk about when they have a change of character, like when they turn heel or turn babyface, they change things like their music or their look a little. And I think Ziggler needs to do something because he just seems like the same guy, just trying to be a heel now.
Yeah. And he's like a weirdly earnest heel, which is a strange.
and he's clean shaven now, whereas he had the scruff when he was a baby face, and he looks more like a baby face now than he ever did. So
yeah. Say Naomi returned last night, and instead of Naomi versus Natalya, Natalya got attacked backstage by Nikki Bella. But I just wanted to call on this segment because I don't know about what you guys thought of this. But one, I thought it was great to see Naomi back. But two, I thought Alexa did probably her best heel promo yet in just that brief exchange they had.
She did. She looked very comfortable. I agree. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to have another woman in that mix, in that top mix. The one thing and I thought Alexa was great. The one thing that drove me nuts in this was, I think, the third time this week where the heel is teasing getting in the ring and then just walks off, like they did it with Braun and Big Show. And there was someone else they did it with on Raw. I mean, they're really overdoing that, where the heel acts like they're going to take the challenge and just, cowardly strolls off. It's fine to do it once in a while, but 3 times in the same week was just overkill.
Yeah. Let's talk about the lumberjack match for the WWE Intercontinental title. The Miz versus Dean Ambrose. So, Raj, I'll kick this one to you first. What did you think of the match itself and that setup?
It definitely seemed like the blow-off. Ambrose beating him clean. So I'm curious where they go with Ambrose next, and Miz. I hope they don't go back to Ziggler because there's just not many other. I mean, they could go to Baron Corbin, but the match itself I thought was fine. I think these two are pretty good together. And I don't know, lumberjack matches, just whenever I watch them, they just seem so outdated to me, and it just kind of felt like that here too. When everyone starts beating up on the wrestler when they're thrown outside the ring, it's just they've done that in every lumberjack match since I've been watching.
And Matt, what'd you think?
I always think the lumberjack matches ends up make wrestling look like some collage of the Village People. Because you have all these outlandish characters standing side by side with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
These complete 180 degrees differences between each other, variances between each other. But it was a very good match. Great execution in the ring, and the guys busted their ass. It was good. But as far as future goes, I think that's a good idea, Raj. I think him moving on to old boy. I'm sorry, what is wrong with me?
Corbin?
New guy. I'm not a fan of, but at least it'll be different and it will help him. I hope. Could be something different,
Yeah,
and I think if that frees up the Miz, I mean, I think the Miz maybe with Mojo, I mean, I don't know, put him in a program, see how that works while Mojo sort of figures out his character a bit more. But I thought the main thing doing a lumberjack match last night is, I don't know if you guys thought this, but man, you could really tell how thin the SmackDown roster was. That was not as well populated as your I mean, if that's the locker room, that was not a lot of dudes.
It just seemed like the Battle Royal came back out for the lumberjack match.
Absolutely did. Cool. So we're going to talk about our Royal Rumble predictions that is coming up, and I want to get your final thoughts on SmackDown. But first, I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this episode, which is DDP Yoga. Now, you've heard us talk about it before. You've seen the results. If you look at how Chris Jericho looks now, how Mick Foley looks now, how Jake the Snake looks now, look at how Goldust looks now. Why do they look this way? DDP Yoga, DDPY, and specifically their awesome Max Packs. For a limited time, we've got a deal for you. It's 2017, the year. God, January is almost over. Take control of your life. Get yourself in better shape. Turn your life around with DDP Yoga. For a limited time now, you can get the DDP Yoga Now app for 25% off, or you can get the DDP Yoga DVDs for 25% off, and that includes 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. They've also got a deal where you can buy a max or combo pack at 25% off and get 50% off the second one. Sign up now. Go to ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. So Matt, SmackDown Live, watching it last night, you normally don't get the chance to watch this every week. I mean, what were your thoughts on just the final thoughts on the show itself?
The aestheticness of it is completely different than Raw. I love, I was telling Raj this earlier, I love the entrances. Baron Corbin's, for instance, is pretty damn dope. The backdrop is awesome. The Titantron, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Everything is phenomenal. Sorry about the noise, guys. I'm outside. It's completely different. I liked watching it. I really did. It felt like it was a younger show. Guys and girls are getting legitimate chances, it seems. They're still very thin, but that just makes the other talents have to step up that much more. I just hope they're smart enough when that happens, they don't pull those guys or girls to Raw. If anything, let's get some of those people on Raw to SmackDown and thicken it up a little bit if it's possible.
So what would you say was the better show this week, Raw or SmackDown?
Raw, because of the ending. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a huge Undertaker mark, so that's in itself just was awesome for me. Hunter's music hitting in the Rollins match was awesome. Raw was more exciting as far as like news goes, and big talents coming in.
Yeah, and to that point, I agree. I thought Raw was a better show this week for those reasons, and the Sami Zayn Seth Rollins match. But the problem that the Raw versus SmackDown thing happened, before they ended up, ending the brand split, was they established Raw as the A show and SmackDown, really as the B show. So any surprise, all the big names would show up on Raw, and now you're starting to see that happen again. You're not seeing the big, spectacular ending, with the big surprises on SmackDown, like you're seeing on Raw. And I think that's your start. When the brand split was doomed last time, that was when you established one show as the B show, and I think it's starting to happen again. So, we'll see.
Yeah. So the Royal Rumble is coming up this weekend. So what are we up to now, Raj, in terms of guys that have been announced for the Rumble itself?
It's all on the site. I think it's like 24 people now. But yeah. There's like 5 spots open.
Wow. Matt, so how are you feeling about the Rumble? Is this your most anticipated pay-per-view in quite some time?
Yeah, I actually am. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be a great one. I think AJ and Cena are going to tear the house down. I think Reigns and Owens is going to be phenomenal. I think there's going to be so many good matches on here. And then the Rumble itself is always fun. You never know who's going to pop up. That's always exciting to see who's special that they bring in for it. Things like that. I think it's going to be a hell of a pay-per-view for sure. Oh, and I'm very bothered that somehow the Boss is on the pre-show. What the freak?
They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches on the main card for a 4-hour show. The Rumble itself probably going to be an hour and 15 once you put in the video packages and everything. What's that?
Don't have her on then. Don't have the match. I'm saying it just lessens these people when they do this. I think of Bud Villains. I think of these other types of talents when I think of pre-show.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I'm sure she would rather be doing something than not be on getting that payday. And the Raw Tag Team Championship is on the pre-show as well. So this pre-show is more loaded as far as star power as opposed to the brand specific kickoff shows.
And 2-hour pre-show. So we talked about this the other night, Matt, but Raj is going to get his dream again of watching 6 hours of wrestling, then coming on here with us to talk about it afterwards.
I'm looking forward to it this time. And like 8 hours, we come add NXT the night before, so it's a lot of wrestling this weekend.
Yeah, so let's talk about this a bit, Matt, because I know Raj and I were curious. So you were in the Rumble in 2004. What's the production process like behind the scenes as far as how you choreograph the match, how much you know ahead of time about the match itself, and how they just deal with all those moving pieces of having 30 guys battling it out?
2004, my rookie year, or my first full year there. We're in the locker room. Pat Patterson was the quarterback of it, the producer of it, I guess they would say now. And I remember he had this dry erase board, and he would list all of our names, and he would then write out who's eliminating who. And then as he's doing it, like he'd look to me and say, all right, Morgan, you're eliminating Hurricane Helms, and then you're doing this. And then really quickly, I'd have to turn to Hurricane and say what I'm going to do to him, like right there on the spot, and have an idea right then and there, so they would know. It was really quick thinking, I remember. It was just like bam, 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 when they'd get to your name as to what you would do to eliminate your talent or get eliminated yourself. And they had to keep it moving because there's so many guys in that Rumble.
So then, do you know who's going to win then when they're going over it?
Yes, I don't remember how I think in that locker room that afternoon, I should say, we knew Chris was going over, but I'm pretty sure I knew that the week beforehand. I could be wrong, but we knew going into this was designed for Chris Benoit to go over and then eventually go over to Raw.
Okay.
As well.
And with that, do you get to practice your spots, or is it you just go out there and do it?
I went out there and did it, but you could, you can go in the ring afterwards and say, and many guys do that and say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to be doing with you. Are you cool with this? Is it, I'm supposed to be eliminating you. Are you cool with me doing this or that? And then if you want to walk through it, you can. You don't walk through the eliminating part. You generally would walk through what your comeback is, because if you guys know, I'm sure you already know this as fans, but every time somebody comes out, he just blows a comeback on whoever's in the ring, and you get all your shit in, and you look like a monster for those 10-15 seconds. Rikishi comes out, he gives everybody a stink face. A-Train comes out, he gives everybody the damn gimmick in the corner, Jeff clothesline in the corner. It's always like that, so if you have to talk about it, you definitely have to talk about it, but you don't have to really walk through it. At least I didn't do it that year.
Yeah.
But go back and watch 2004. Matt Hardy took the best boot of all time that I have ever given anyone. Holy crap. He took my boot and literally put it to his face and bumped while holding my boot to his damn cheek. Wow. On the way down and on top of him. I was like, in my head, I was like, holy shit.
Nice.
Cool. So I'm looking ahead. 22 guys on the WWE site have been announced so far. And it's updated to include Mojo.
Yeah.
So, and how Matt, when they were producing it, when did they set in stone who the 30 was going to be? Like, how close to air did you know this is the locked roster? No more surprises.
That's a good question. I don't really remember of us in our Rumble having any surprises. We had so many young guys and so many established stars. This was like right when Randy Orton was the Intercontinental Champion at the time.
Yeah.
Before his, rise to become, so you had so many guys on the incline. Such a thick, deep roster,
Yeah.
There was no room. There was no room for surprises.
Yeah, they hide the surprises now. They keep them. The last few years, they've keep them hidden on a bus, and they don't want anyone to know. So, a lot of times it still leaks, but usually they're kept on a bus hidden until it's time to come out.
And they don't have enough talent to fill it out anymore either.
Well, they could, but that's putting in the vaudevillains and Ascension and those guys, and that's
we had qualifying matches, dude. Like, I qualified by beating Orlando Jordan, I think, on SmackDown.
Well, that's what makes no
sense. A lot of good talent.
Yeah. Sorry,
that didn't even make the Rumble. That didn't even make the Royal Rumble, which made the Rumble seem more important to be in and be a part of.
That's what's ridiculous this year is you have guys coming out saying, I declare myself in the Rumble, and then then Mojo has to win a battle royal. Why does he just declare himself too? So
just say it. Yeah.
So anywho, should we run down this Rumble card?
Yeah, you want to take it, Raj?
Sure. So obviously, why don't we start go quickly through the kickoff and then up through the main card before getting the Rumble itself. The Raw Tag Team Championship. Cesaro and Sheamus against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. What do you guys think?
I'm bored with the angle. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm bored with the angle. I really don't care who wins this match.
I think just put the belts on Gallows and Anderson. Let's just do it finally and then see what happens from there. I feel like by not doing it, we're stuck in this weird holding pattern.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to go with Cesaro and Sheamus just because they kind of just won the belts, so I think they'll probably have them defend it. And but I agree. It doesn't really matter. Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax.
Sasha's I think no, I think Nia Jax somehow wins.
Yeah, maybe they use the recovery, right? Sasha on crutches still. Maybe they use that as an excuse.
Yeah,
that's I agree. Nia Jax, I think, takes that one. Going to the main card, we got the six woman tag team match with Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya against Nikki Bella, Naomi, and Becky Lynch. What do you guys think?
Heels up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree on that one. It seems like they're building Naomi for Alexa Bliss next, so I think Naomi gets the pin on Alexa here to kind of set that up. Cruiserweight Championship, Rich Swann against Neville.
Neville, no question. Easily. Not easily, but Neville wins.
Yeah, I think Neville needs it.
I agree. I think he's on such a roll right now. He's doing such a great job as a heel that it would kind of kill that momentum if they have him lose it.
Neville doesn't need it. They need it for that for that cruiserweight show.
Right. Yeah.
That cruiserweight show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who should they move on to next for Neville? Do they keep it with Rich Swann or kind of go somewhere else?
Somewhere else.
I'd like to see Austin Aries if he can be back by Mania, but I guess that would mean Aries is a babyface, and I think he's much better as a heel.
Yeah. He could still in TNA he did a good job of playing that tweener thing. He was cocky and arrogant, calling himself the greatest man that ever lived, as a babyface, and it worked. I don't know. Work-wise, I'd love to see it though.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them do Neville versus like Gallagher, but I don't think Gallagher needs it. I think Gallagher is the most over guy right now in the cruiserweights.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I'd see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that because they've been kind of protecting him. Well, to an extent, I guess he's lost to Dabari.
Enough.
Yeah. Charlotte versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship.
It screams Bayley has to win this with the video packages and an awesome story. She did a great job, by the way. I loved the piece that they did on Raw with her. This was the way she should have delivered it in the ring versus those stupid poems she was doing. But nonetheless, I bought in. I know the fans bought in, and it screams set up for Bayley to win. But they're not going to do that somehow. They're going to screw it up somehow, and Charlotte's going to keep the title because isn't she still undefeated on pay-per-view?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make that a thing. I think they need to get out of it now, but I think they're going to end up making that a thing. I hope not, but I just don't think I don't think she's ready to be the champion yet with what they've pushed her out as so far. I think she's right there, but she needs a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they save it for Mania. I think doing it there will have it be.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that would be epic, right? I mean, if Bayley wins it at Mania, they build it off. But I think they're going to put on a great match. I think they have to put on a great match to keep interest in this feud. That's the only way they can do it with Bayley losing is if they put on a real barn burner out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I think Charlotte wins this one. And yeah, because if you're going to end, they built that pay-per-view streak as kind of a thing now. So if you're going to end it, you end it at Mania. So yeah, I think we all agree on that one then, Charlotte. No DQ match for the Universal Championship. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. Now, spoiler alert, Roman Reigns is being booked against Braun Strowman for live events after this. And this is the updated advertising, which usually kind of shows you where things are headed. So
what does it say Owens is doing on the live events? Is he against Jericho at all?
He's not listed at all. I mean, he's listed, but it's just like, these are the matches, and also appearing, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, that kind of thing.
Okay, that does say something, but it could also they could still do Jericho versus him somehow, Owens. But you could be right. It could be Reigns winning this, unfortunately. I just don't think Reigns versus Strowman is a WrestleMania match yet. I just don't. Physically looking at the two, yes, they are. But what they're going to deliver in the ring, I do not think so.
I agree. Plus, you owe us a lot of money if that is the case.
That's what it was. Yeah.
It was $500 each, I think he said, if they went with that for the main event.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So I could see maybe Rollins interfering with this. Maybe doing something on that level. Maybe Reigns wins, but it's not. I mean, it's a no DQ match, right? So anything can happen.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, they added that step for, you'd think they added that step for a reason. I'm sure, my guess is Chris Jericho finds a way to get out of the cage, the title, and Roman Reigns wins the championship.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I think that's going to be the title change on this show. The big one. Yeah, but yeah.
And then what else do we got on the card?
AJ versus Cena.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, after this week, I think Styles is going to retain.
I do too. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. You know what I do too, and you know what I would almost do with my WrestleMania lineup. I would have Samoa Joe interfere here and beat the crap out of Cena, allowing Styles to win, and that sets up Samoa Joe against John Cena at WrestleMania.
Ooh, I would. Okay, if we're just pulling stuff out of the air, I would love that.
It's really, I mean, there is a lot of buzz that Samoa Joe is going to be, you know, at the Rumble this Sunday or Raw the next night. So
great.
That's how I do. I'd rather have him here and set up something with Cena than as a surprise guy in the Rumble that gets thrown out.
That's awesome. I'd kill for that. Great. Hey, I'm in.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. And then the Rumble itself. God, I mean, that's the thing. This is so stacked. I mean, there's like 10 guys on this list that I could see winning.
I think it's Strowman.
I think it's Strowman setting up Strowman versus Reigns. I'd love for Taker to do it and have Taker versus Reigns. I think Taker versus Reigns is a lot more interesting, and I'd like to, you know, and you go and turn Reigns heel. They're not going to do that, but that would be ideal. If Reigns is a heel against Undertaker at WrestleMania for the title, in my opinion. Cool. But I think Strowman. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. It's not what I want to.
Don't say Sami Zayn, Glenn.
It would be such a great story, though, if he won.
No, it wouldn't.
And then Owens retains. And WrestleMania, Owens versus Zayn. It would be fantastic.
Watch Sammy wins now, too.
Yeah. But because it would be a good story. With Braun, I don't think there's a story there, right? I mean, with Braun, we still don't know what's his motivation, what's his thing. He's a beast, sure, but, like, I don't know. That's just a little one note to me.
Glenn, you're missing the most important part of this, the physicality of the over-the-top battle royal aspect.
I get that.
Man's match, number one.
Yes.
Two, he is not throwing nobody over the top. I mean, he'll throw a couple, or somebody will charge him. I'll bet you $5 right now. This will be one of his eliminations. Somebody will charge him. He will duck and pull the top rope down. The guy will go flying out like a goof. That will be one elimination for Sami Zayn. I guarantee it. Competitors.
I know. Well, it depends on when he enters. It depends on when he goes in. But no, but I want, you know, some storytelling with it. I mean, Matt, you know, it's interesting. I know you talked about it before. You know, I mean, like when they gave you the stutter gimmick, that at least made your character a little more dynamic, right? Because you have big guy, but you have big guy who's this beast, but he's got something that, you know, it's a vulnerability. It makes him a little more relatable. With Braun, what do we know about Braun aside from he's got questionable taste in haircuts?
Hey, what do you need to know? I mean, what did you know about Yokozuna heading into, you know, it's just building that monster for the babyface to face, you know.
Yeah, but Yoko was exotic. Look, Yokozuna was exotic. It was back, you know, back in a time where just being from a foreign country made you kind of mysterious.
It did. Know? It sadly did.
Yeah, but it was that same big guy, dominant big guy, you know, and you know, you build up this big heel for the babyface. So I mean, that's the story. Is Roman Reigns overcoming this giant monster who's been destroying everybody.
But the great thing about this is, okay, so regardless of who wins, the thing that I love about this match is with all the guys in it, this can set up, I think, like 6 storylines going forward, depending on who eliminates who and what happens in the ring.
Yeah, and if you look at the other favorites, Goldberg to me doesn't make sense because he's pretty much locked in with Lesnar at Mania, and Lesnar's not wrestling again until Mania. So I don't, where does Lesnar win that title to set it up as a championship match? So that doesn't make sense. Undertaker, you know, we'll get to it, but you know, I just I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him and Reigns or him and Cena for the title, but it doesn't seem like that's in the cards. So,
yeah, I'm willing to bet it's not going to be a SmackDown guy who wins.
And the other favorite, you know, who's high up on the odds makers list is Samoa Joe. So I mean, if you could do Samoa Joe and Reigns at Mania, or Samoa Joe and Taker. Samoa Joe and AJ, or, you know, Cena. I think it's way too soon. You don't know how Samoa Joe will get over with the crowd yet to just thrust him into the WrestleMania title match. But, you know, he is one of the other, like, he's like the number 4 or 5 favorite. Finn Balor is another. He's
what?
Yeah. With the British odds making sites, he's like number 5, I think.
And I've seen Finn Balor in the poster. Has he made an announcement that he's going to be in the Rumble that I missed?
So Finn Balor is getting checked this week to see if he'll get medically cleared. So we'll see. I think, you know, Rollins got, you know, his checkup around this time too last year and didn't, you know, wasn't able to make it back by Mania. So, just because you're getting checked out to be cleared doesn't mean you'll be cleared. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at it, there's just so many different ways they can go with it. I love that we have 8 slots open, though. So I mean, you figure Samoa Joe is probably good for one of those. If we have an NXT guy, we talked about this before. If Ty Dillinger is not in this, the internet will be sorely disappointed. At least all the smarks will. But yeah, so I mean, do you think how many surprises do you think it can bear this year? How many surprise entrants do you think you can bear, and how much the rest do you think will be like? I mean, Kane's got to come back, right, to keep his streak going.
Yeah, I'm sure Kane or Mark. I don't know if you want to waste one on Mark Henry, but yeah, Kane. I definitely could see that. What about Seth Rollins? Where does he fit in? They're not going to completely leave him off the show.
No.
Does he just cut a promo during the show and set up something with Triple H?
Yeah, that's plenty. Hey, I'll take that.
Or someone saying you could have Triple H as one of the surprises, and Seth Rollins comes in and throws him, eliminates him, throws him over the top, and to kind of set that up. Triple H was a surprise last year and won the thing for the title. But yeah,
if they do it, it would have to be Triple H coming out and then this big to-do entrance, right? And everyone's excited, and Rollins jumps him from behind, which would completely screw Rollins and make him a heel. People would go him for it, and I hope they don't do that. But Rollins is not in the Rumble as of now, so he ain't eliminating nobody.
Yeah, I don't see them putting Rollins back in now.
Backstage.
Yeah, so yeah, I could see them doing that, where Triple H comes out, Rollins just kicks the crap out of him, they go to the back, and that's kind of it for him.
Actually, so what do you? Because I can almost see Foley putting Rollins in a defiant gesture. What have you heard about Foley standing with the company? I know the last 5 episodes of Holy Foley are debuting after the Rumble on Sunday, but they're making it seem they weren't even calling it the final 5 of season 1. They were just saying the final 5. Have you heard anything as far as what's going on with his daughter and mixed relationship with the company?
Oh no. As far as Foley, he needs that hip surgery, so he's going to be gone sooner or later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when. But
I can see them using this as a way to write him off, that he gets Rollins in there and then Stephanie boots him.
They could. I mean, that's something. I think they've kickstarted Triple H and Seth Rollins, so I think you need something on the show to get that going forward. So, I mean, if you have Rollins in and then Triple H comes in and, beats the crap out of him, that's one way to do it. Or the other way, which is Triple H is the surprise. And that, I think that would get the bigger pop. But yeah, you could go either way.
Yeah, and have you heard anything more about Angle? If Angle, he pulled out that UK date that he had this weekend.
He said emphatically he's not doing it. He's, he had an interview and he said he's not going to be in the Rumble. And there's been no talk of him wrestling. It could change, but as of now, no talk. So I'm
predicting he'll be in the Rumble. I'm just throwing it out there.
Wow. All right. Matt's saying he's in.
I could absolutely see it happening. And that's the thing, someone saying emphatically they're not doing something. It's the unfortunate part of the WWE. It's like, Matt Morgan, you could swear on a stack of Bibles right now you're not going to be in the Rumble Saturday or Sunday, and I'd be like, I don't know, guys. He was denying it really hard, right? I mean, it's like with the WWE, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what happens. Speculation, can go a million different ways.
Right. Should we get to our NXT TakeOver real quick? Our predictions for that show. Nakamura versus Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode.
Yeah, and maybe Nakamura gets called up.
I don't think he'll get called up yet. Yep. I think because, they have their formula there where the guy loses a title and then gets a rematch at the next one, then loses, then he's on his way to the main roster. So I kind of see that happening, which sucks because if that's the case, he probably won't be at WrestleMania because the next TakeOver is WrestleMania weekend. But I agree. I see Bobby Roode winning here. Gargano and Ciampa, DIY versus the Authors of Pain.
Authors, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know what they think of Authors of Pain. I know they make them look like monsters, but I don't know. I'm gonna say Authors of Pain. Unfortunately,
I kind of see that too. I think the Authors of Pain.
They've pushed them really hard. I mean, they pushed them really hard, and I think Gargano.
They're just 2 fat dudes.
Yes, they are. With Paul Ellering, though, so
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, they're strong. I mean, it's a pair of Mark Henrys basically, but yeah. I don't see that. I see them being the Ascension when they get to the main roster.
If they get to the main roster.
The Fatal 4-Way: Asuka versus Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, and Billie Kay.
Ooh. Asuka.
I agree. I think you got to go with Asuka.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they're doing it at a 4-way this time. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, and no one's talked about. I mean, there've been no rumblings about Asuka getting a call up, right? I mean, no. I think she's just. But the problem is though, if she stays dominant, all the way into the Takeover and Mania. I mean, I don't know. Like, how do they unseat her at that point when they built her up as such a huge threat to the division?
Well, that's the thing. You got to get someone ready, and that's believable. And once you get there, then you do the switch. But you don't want to just put it on someone just because Asuka's been dominant too long. So yeah.
Although I don't know, I don't think Nikki's ready yet, but I think having a member of Sanity win would be interesting. But yeah, I just don't think she's there yet. But it's a 4-way though, so Asuka doesn't have to eat the pin, so it does give it that technicality.
I could do the change, and then Asuka gets a rematch against whoever wins.
That could happen.
Eric Young against Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger. Well, he's going to be in the Rumble and be called up, I'm guessing, right? If you're in the Rumble, does that mean you're now called up in WWE, or could you still be in NXT and be part of the Rumble?
Usually it means it's coming pretty soon, because you've had Rusev and Sami Zayn be in the Rumble while they were still in NXT, but then they debuted not too long after.
Okay, then I'm going to say Eric Young.
Yeah, I think Eric Young, they're building the Sanity group right now. I think it makes sense. And I don't think Ty is long for NXT.
Yeah.
Hope not.
And then the last one on the main card, Roderick Strong versus Andrade Cien. I always botch his name. Cien Almas. It makes no sense to me if Roderick Strong loses here.
I agree, but they like that other dude, man. They think he, like, I don't know what, I mean, he is good, don't get me wrong, but I love Roddy, so I mean, I'm gonna say other guy, because WWE will screw it up.
Andrade has he lost every Takeover match since after his debut? He lost to Bobby.
I believe he.
Go ahead.
Yeah, huge list or anything, it's like 2 or 3 at most.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Okay, guys. So now, kind of on to get our ideal WrestleMania cards. What do you guys, if you were booking and saying Seth Rollins versus Triple H, Lesnar versus Goldberg, and Big Show versus Shaq is all taken, what are your top WrestleMania matches after that?
Who was you had Taker taken already?
Nope.
Okay. I think it's somehow, I don't know how they get there. I really don't, but I think somehow it's Taker Cena. I don't know how, but Taker Cena.
And what else? What about AJ?
That's where I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to let is there any way they can let, you know what I mean? Do we find out later that they let the brands cross over for a dream match? I don't know. You said, did you say Triple H and Rollins?
Yeah, that's taken.
Reigns versus, I don't know what else, honestly. You took the top 3, except for Shaq and Big Show, rather. And I really don't. I don't know, because so many things can go in so many goddamn directions here. I think they're going to stay somehow with Cena versus Taker. I just don't know the context of
it. Glenn? Your main event is Sammy versus Kevin Owens. I'm taking it.
Well, of course. Actually, I was going to say, get this. If they move Sammy over, I actually think Sammy versus AJ would be a hell of a WrestleMania match. I don't think it'll draw eyeballs, but I think that's the thing, though. I think if you have Goldberg Lesnar and you have these other matches, I don't think the pressure is on as much to come up with the spectacle. I think they just want some solid stuff to fill it out. But yeah, I think there's a couple ways they can go through. So I'd love to see Bayley Charlotte. At the same time, I think if they could build it up in time, Mickie Becky would be, that would probably be like the kickoff match. But I think that would be really interesting if they could figure out a way to make the belt, move it over to Mickie or Becky and have that happen in Mania. Yeah, I think they'll probably end up doing see, that's the problem. It's like I think the tag division is going to be screwed in one of those. Like, hey, let's just put 10 guys in the ring and have them go at it.
I thought we said dream matches here. I thought we said dream matches.
That's the problem with the WWE.
The top matches.
That's the problem. That's the problem is that you start thinking like, oh, what would I like to see? And then you start thinking what we're going to end up seeing. You know, I mean, yeah, what I would like. But you know what, though? Some of those matches, and I'll say this, what they did last year with the, what was it, the 6-man ladder match for the IC title, that sounded like one of those burn-off matches. Let's just toss a bunch of guys out there. And that match was fantastic. You know, so I think you just put people in the ring, you know, so that's what I want to see is I want to see people be utilized properly because I think that's what will make the great show.
So what are your picks then?
Man, so that's a tough one.
Your pick for Styles, your pick for Reigns, your pick for Taker.
Styles, I would actually say Zayn versus Styles. I think would be interesting.
All right.
No, I think it would. But come on, you tell me that would be a bad.
They're
match?
not. I'm not saying it would be bad. I'm saying that it's not going to happen.
Hey, look where AJ Styles' career trajectory is going. You're telling me like that's not a firm possibility?
Trajectory is great. Sammy's, yeah.
But no,
one of the best years, and he's had one of the best years in WWE history.
Yeah, but as the champ, again, that guy from Atlanta, that's his mainstream recognition. I think if it depends if Cena
more
gets
than
the belt
Sammy
back or not. Yeah, that's true.
That's all of WWE's recognition.
I know.
Though, mainstream. It's not just him. That's everybody. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just giving you guys a hard time. No, so I think Taker versus Strowman, I think would be interesting actually. I think
I could see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see Taker versus Strowman. I think of those that would be good. You know, if they can't do Cena versus Styles again after this week and hold my interest, so I don't think that's going to be interesting. And then with Roman Reigns, I mean, look, guys, like with Roman Reigns, I would hope they would book him in a way that I would find it really interesting. But I'm thinking about it. I don't know who I want to see Roman Reigns fight. You know, I don't think
nobody.
Yeah, there's no one at this point that I'm like, you know, the reanimated corpse of Chris Benoit. They trot him out somehow, and I'm like, well. No, Reigns still isn't interesting in that case. You know, my money's on the corpse. Yeah, I don't know.
That's gonna get some complaints.
So I was just trying to be far-fetched with my hyperbole there. I don't know, Matt. Well, I mean, what would really make Mania just a worthwhile spectacle for you?
If Lesnar Goldberg.
Yeah.
Like you said, Taker Strowman. I'd like to see that. I think that'd have a big match feel to it if they keep doing what they're doing with Strowman.
Yeah.
I don't know why Cena has to wrestle Taker, but I know that's what they're still stuck on that.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why he has to wrestle him.
And Cena is going to be filming another movie soon, so we got to keep that in mind. I think, to me, Roman, I disagree with that. I think Roman versus Undertaker it would be just fascinating, just from a crowd reaction standpoint. I think you could turn him. I mean, especially if you were to turn him heel, which they probably won't do, but if you did that, I think that makes it really interesting because you really don't know who's going to win. Because the way they've been pushing Roman, you would think.
Come on.
You think Taker would win that?
Abso-friggin-lutely.
I don't think so.
They learned their lesson from that mistake the first time around with Brock.
I don't think that was a mistake.
No way.
It took that.
It ended up being one because Goldberg, who's going to be not even a part-timer, just dismantled all of that realness that was Brock Lesnar in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but Lesnar was becoming just a regular guy. I mean, a top regular guy up until that point, and he just kind of took off like his super special attraction badass. That that I don't think if that would have happened if he didn't have that win.
He's a badass no matter what.
Yeah, but they weren't booking him like that. They had him beat by Triple H the year before, and he was wrestling CM Punk, and I
don't think it ever had anything that whether he loses or not has nothing to do with the reactions of people paying to see him. He's still a legitimate badass, and he always gives off that vibe, win or lose.
I think Taker's done after this year. Vince sees it, and I think Roman would go over.
Yeah. Honestly, this is where they would be. I will say this: Strowman beating Undertaker would do a lot of good in setting up Strowman as the next dominant monster of that entire company.
Yeah, I just don't see Strowman as that guy that has the longevity more than a short-term monster heel.
He's not there yet, but I'm saying that's the time if they're looking to say, hey, Taker, if you're looking to put someone over, this is the guy that would do more with it, I think. Reigns just nobody gives a shit. Even if he beats Undertaker, nobody will care.
They care in the sense that they're loud in his matches. They're not loud for Strowman. We'll have to agree to disagree. I just think it would. I just think it would be. I think so many people out there would think that Vince would have Roman beat Taker, because of where they're going with Roman, that it would make it way, really interesting. And I think Cena versus Taker is kind of the same way. No.
I feel like with WrestleMania, though, it's kind of like the Super Bowl in the sense that, you have the spectacle of it all, right? But it's like, how often are the best matches of the year actually at WrestleMania? How much do we love the idea of a WrestleMania match versus the actual execution?
Well, there's generally 2 or 3 that are absolutely, 5-star matches. But this year has a chance. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Like this year's Royal Rumble, for instance. I'm telling you right now, AJ versus Cena is going to, oh my God, it's going to be an intense, great match.
Yeah, I was going to say last year's WrestleMania didn't have any that were really, that were match of the year candidates. You had Roman and Triple H and Jericho and AJ, which, should have been awesome, but it was okay. And the Intercontinental ladder match, the Zack Ryder one. But the thing is, when you do have an awesome match at Mania, it really lasts. When you have Shawn Michaels versus Taker, or Rock versus Hogan. Granted, athletically not a great match, but it's so memorable. That's something you don't forget. There's always the potential. Often the stadium hurts it because of the noise. You don't have that same crowd reaction because it's all going up as opposed to being contained. All right, guys. Well, I think that does it for this week.
Cool. So we'll be here Sunday night after the Royal Rumble ends on the East Coast. Raj, Matt, myself will be here to recap everything we just witnessed, the full 6 hours of wrestling between the pre-show and the main event itself. If you like the show, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. And guys, Royal Rumble. I can't remember the last time we were this stoked about a pay-per-view.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great one.
The fact that none of us can agree on the winner or what the top WrestleMania matches is awesome, because they could go so many different ways. So it's I think it's great.
Yeah, cool, guys. So until next time, everyone, I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and I'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.